You know, when I first heard that Kneecap, a 2024 music biopic slash borderline stoner comedy about an Irish rap group and their rise to fame, a movie idea that was conceived by the members of the rap group during an all-night drugs and alcohol-fueled bender, a movie that was then selected as the official movie for consideration for the Oscars International Film category, I knew I had to check it out. Kneecap stars the real-life rap group with the same name, starring Nisha O'Carolyn, Liam O'Hany, and JJ O'Dordigan. It's a dramatized retelling of the group's rise to fame, with some aspects exaggerated for either dramatic or comedic value. The film is directed by Irish director Rich Pepiot, and we should note that it's his first theatrical debut. When you combine a director making their first theatrical debut with a subject matter that the director and the main actors are deeply personally passionate about, it's obvious why this could be something special. The plot mainly follows Liam and Nisha, who first learned to speak Irish from Nisha's father, who was a member of the Old Republican paramilitary. The native Irish language, also known as Gaelic Irish, at this time is not an officially recognized language by the UK government and is not taught in most schools. Fast forward a few years, and one day, after Liam gets arrested at a party and refuses to speak English to the cops, JJ, a local music teacher at an Irish language school, is brought on to help with the interrogation. During the interrogation, he's asked to translate Liam's notebook, which is filled with Irish rap lyrics. The lyrical content is really profane. It's filled with references to drugs and sex, but it's also pretty politically charged. The two start to form a friendship, and JJ agrees to produce music for them, and we get to watch the rise of this rap group in fame as it inspires a new wave of excitement amongst the Irish youth to learn their native language. While all of this is going on, in the background there's a campaign for the Irish Language Act, which involves official recognition of the Irish language. As the group gets more attention, they have to deal with threats from the police, as well as pressure from the Irish Republican paramilitary groups, who believe that the music is leading to an increase in violence and drug use among the youth. There's also pressure for this music to be censored in radio stations. In some ways, these struggles with the outside systems kind of mirror real life. In 2024, shortly after the movie was released, the real-life rap group Kneecap was applying for a £15,000 grant allocated to support UK registered artists and was denied the funding. There's actually now a legal battle between Kneecap and the UK government on the basis of discrimination. With that out of the way, I want to talk about what makes this film so special, starting with the sound. It's probably not a surprise that a movie based around a real-life rap group would have incredible sound design. It's loud, it's in your face, and it's super high energy, almost as if it's bursting out of the seams of the movie, and the movie itself can't contain how much energy is in this soundtrack. The conversations themselves also have a certain rhythmic pulse to them. The camera flicks back and forth between actors as they build off upon each other in a steady rhythm, almost like stanzas in a rap song. The movie itself is a comedy drama, but features many music videos within the movie. You can almost describe it like a rap musical. And yeah, overall, the soundtrack is a huge reason why I'm rushing to get this video out now. I think you have to hear this in theaters to get the best experience, ideally with a theater with a really nice sound system. So the idea of the movie almost not being able to contain all of the energy within the medium of the sound design is also pretty true about the visual design. It's probably not a surprise, given that we're covering, the life of rappers, but there's a lot of drug trips within this movie, and with each drug trip, different creative and wild camera techniques are used, which I'm not gonna spoil, but it's a visual feast. There's also this visual motif of notebook scribbles as visual overlays over many of the scenes, especially the ones where someone's kind of rapping or producing music. This visual flourish kind of gives an underground, homegrown, grassroots kind of feel to the whole thing, and also adds this impression that the film is bursting at the seams. And maybe going off of that idea of the underground nature of this movie, I love how much it takes an unflinching and bold political stance. It really gives the energy of punk rock middle finger to the establishment kind of vibes. And I think it also touches upon some pretty interesting points. A lot of characters within the film have similar goals around freedom of expression with the Irish Gaelic language, but there are some disagreements around how to use that freedom of expression. There's kind of this debate around whether the Kneecap group is actually doing more harm than good for the Irish youth. On one hand, it's getting these youth interested in learning their native language, and in fact, I can go to some old Kneecap music videos that were released before this film and pull up comments from people who are saying that this music group inspired them to learn the language. Now on the other hand, there's some characters within the film that are campaigning for the Irish Language Act, and the opponents of this act cite the lyrics of Kneecap as painting a bad image of Irish youth. In a lot of ways, it really mirrors what was happening in America in the 1980s and the 1990s with the proliferation of American rap music, so there's a lot of reasons to love this film. Now, while the film is flooded with passion, I do think there are a couple of problems mainly around the pacing and the relationships between characters. The movie itself is 1 hour and 45 minutes, and a lot of it is music video scenes, which I absolutely love. I would not remove that. But at the same time, there are a lot of different characters with their own motivations and plot arcs. They kind of represent the different point of views and speaking points around this issue. Because there's so many characters, this kind of means that a lot of the plot is told through direct narration from Liam, which does help to move the story forward. There were rarely any dull moments, but I think it leans too heavily into telling instead of showing. The main drawback that we have from this approach is that we miss out on character building moments between the group. The relationship between Liam, Nisha, and JJ is kind of told to us rather than shown. Although I will say that it's helped a lot by their obvious real-life chemistry from, being a real-life rap group. However, where this problem becomes more obvious is where these characters interact with some of the other supporting characters. This is especially evident between scenes between Nisha and his father. Now, Nisha's father has been absent for most of his life, but he's also one of the main sources of inspiration for Nisha learning the language and becoming a rapper. The scenes that play out when they reunite don't really have the dramatic weight that I would expect. Similar to this, scenes with Liam and love interest Georgia don't really add much to the film in my mind. It's probably the weakest relationship between characters. In general, while there are some scenes that are really funny, Liam in particular I think has great comedic timing, the serious scenes end up falling flat for me for the most part. Kneecap is a movie that's flowing with authentic passion and bursting at the seams visually and musically. It gets muddied a bit towards the second and third act with the character relationships and the tell instead of show storytelling, but I think it will be a cult classic, a film worthy of an Oscar nomination, and a deeply personal film for the demographics it's aimed at. I would give it an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments, and please subscribe if you want to see more movie reviews like this.